wanted to share this tonight because it just so happened that like a week before this meeting, my license had reached that 90-day window to expiration. And when you're on my kid, when you reach that 90-day window of when your amateur radio license is ready to expire, you have an opportunity to interact with some of the finest systems that your tax dollars can provide you. I consider it an honor and a privilege. So I sort of viewed it almost as a mystery because I heard so many different things from so many different individuals in the club, you know? And I thought, how bad can this really be? Well, I can tell you I wasn't disappointed, but it's not insurmountable. In fact, I did a little research ahead of time, sort of looking at how the systems go together. I spent some quality time with AI, and I spent some time peeling back the onion of the Federal Communications Commission technology architecture. So this is a title, Solving the Mystery of the CORS ULS connection. Because where most people, I think, get tripped up is understanding the architecture. If you don't understand the architecture and you don't understand how pieces fit together, that is how confusion begins. So first we got to kind of level set. Let's definition so we all get on the same page. So if I say ULS or I say CORS, this will be with you. So we're going to talk about the definitions. What are these systems? How do we use those systems? How do we interact? One of the big contentions, how do I get into these things? How does the user access work? What is my FRN number and why do I care? And then I will walk you through step by step, me renewing my license, a screenshot at a time. 7 minutes and 33 seconds is how long it took me to renew my license. And I got a special secret, double top secret bonus at the end that I'll show you. That's something I got in the email today from our friends at the Federal Communication. And then I'm going to wrap up with some links, some online step-by-step guides. This is the part where it's important. And let's start at the very beginning. Okay, what is this CORS thing that I've heard about? Well, CORS came around not all that many years ago as like the overall registration system. You could think of it like your portal to our friends at the FCC. So this is a computer application that's web-based, runs in the cloud on their system. And it's the commission registration system. Now, what you need to know about CORS is if you don't have CORS right, everything else will go casters up. So you need to get CORS right. And we're going to talk about how you do that. By the way, when I renewed my license, part of that 7 minutes and 33 seconds included creating my CORS account because I didn't have one. Because I had an old FRN. And I had to go through associating that. So I went in and I'll take you through my step by step. I do not have the steps though for when I created my CORS account because I did that previous to my actual review. But the association, and I did the association at the same time, but I'll walk you through that. So this is the hub. This is where you manage your FRN. I mean, you might say, what do you mean manage FRN? I only got one FRN. It's like my belly button. I got one. No. Some people have more than one FRN. Now it's rare, and well, it's rare for amateur radio operators to have more than one FRN. Think of the FCC and what they cover. You know, broadcast television. You know, they cover if it's radio, they cover it. Cellular, everything. So you are a little amateur radio operator in the big grand scheme of the FCC. And that's one of the reasons why to us, the system seems very complex. This architecture to us looks like overkill, right? A large company, a large collection of radio technology, if you will typically want to have multiple FRNs because they might use that in terms of how they manage their work, etc. Us in this room, I would submit we all only have one FRN. Now, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. So the email-based account is CORS. Commission registration system. This is the hub. This is where it starts. You use it as an email-based account, okay, and you use CORS to associate your FRN, and I'm going to walk through this on a slide, to associate your FRN with your CORS account. And then we're going to talk more about that when we talk about access. For the license system, the universal licensing system, okay, the user ID for that system is your 10-digit FRN, your FCC registration number. Okay. So CORS is email. When you work with the universal licensing system, ULS, you use your FRN 10-digit number for your username. Now, the good news is the password you set up here, if you associate your FRN with your CORS account, which you will know how to do by the end of this presentation, that is the same password you use with the ULS. So up here, it's your email address, like bobromanko@gmail.com with my password. Down here, it's my FRN number, my 10-digit number for my user ID, with the same password I used up here.
Could you make them?
So when people, you can't, okay, if you have an old FRN password, it will work. I got a slide on that. But well, they actually say it may work. That if we tell you something may work, what does that really mean? It means it's not going to work. So when the FCC tells you your old FRN password may work for ULS, no.
We can
Do the smart thing. The FCC is leaning very heavily into CORS, and the FCC's position is use your CORS password.
Yeah.
Because once you link, it will work 100% of the time. So that's how these all fit together. You're up here, you're a human being, all right? You log in through CORS, you associate your FRN with your CORS account. This is email, you create your password, you associate your FRN. Now that I've done that, I can go to the ULS, put in my 10-digit FRN ID number, okay? And use my CORS password. I think I said that enough. By the way, you might say, wait a minute, Bob, there's more to it than this. Wait a minute. Don't nobody do nothing. Yeah, you're right, there is. There's another system you work with when you go to pay the man. And that is, you use your same FRN, but you will log into FRN Financial to make your payment. I have screenshots of all this, okay? And trust me, I'll walk you right through it. All right. So again, CORS, your username, account, your entry point, you register with a unique email, you log in, you associate your FRN with your CORS account. Now, if you create a new FRN while you're logged in, it's automatically associated. If you're brand new. But in most cases, everybody in this room, I trust you have an associate, you have an FRN that you're gonna need. That's what I had to do. As soon as I logged in, I associated my FRN and it works great. CORS manages the FRN, the financial data. The ULS manager is where you actually apply. Now there is a little bit about this ULS that you need to understand. The uniform licensing system is over here. And FRN Financials is over here. So that is not exactly accurate from a picture standpoint. ULS is here, FRN Financials here. Imagine this is firm one across here. This is just showing an example, you have multiple firms. But the point is, you pay it, even though you pay it through the Core's payment system, when you go in through the Core's payment system, it will direct you through to the FRN Financials. I will show you, I know it sounds confusing. Understanding user access. ULS and firms' passwords have generally, this is where they say generally been linked since 2001. So that means if you have a ULS, if you want to access ULS, you can use your old firm password. Okay. So you have the ULS, when you go to renew your license, this is the part I think is confusing for people. ULS will accept both legacy firm and Core's passwords underscore if linked. And I think what happens sometimes is people change their FRN password, but I think that what happens is ULS is actually looking at your previous FRN password, maybe one you forgot. So the lesson learned here, the most important lesson is forget about your FRN password, act like you never had one, and work through Core's exclusively. Because all you're gonna do is confuse yourself with these two passwords. Get in Core's, associate your FRN, update your Core's password, remember that password and use that for your ULS.
That's exactly what the FCC.
That's exactly what the FCC says. Yeah, that's what Ed just said. So, oh, and by the way, effective March 2024, so for the last 2 years, we now have multi-factor authentication that we have to do. So understanding the relationship, how everything fits together. Core's is your registered email. You use the Core's password. That's where you manage the FRNs, and you go in to pay your fee. Actually, there's one more step out here on paying fees where you go to FRN Financials, and I'll show you that in the up to the slides. And then for the ULS, you always log in with your 10-digit FRN. That's the only way you can get into ULS. So the multi-factor authentication, this is a really long screen. I'll show you a screenshot of this in a little bit. When you log in, every time, there is no little checkbox, remember this device, and then you never have to do it again. No, wrong. Every time you access Core's, it will send to your email a code that you have to enter for multi-factor authentication. It is email based. It won't send you a text. So what does that tell you? Wow, being able to access that email box is pretty important, because I'm dead in the water with the FCC if I lose access to that email account, or if I forget my email account password that I registered with my Core's account.
Where do you,
So the FCC in Core's, in your profile, you have the ability to add a second email address. It's a simple second email that goes on your Core's account, where used specifically for multi-factor authentication. So when, again, every time you log into Core's, it's going to send send an email to your registered account with the code you need to enter to continue your login.
you better have a secondary.
Good idea to have a second if something goes casters up with your first email. This moved up a little bit. That's all right. What this says was, if your license was issued, okay, let's talk about logging into Legacy. Okay, Legacy login into Core's. If your license was issued before 2022, probably a lot of people in this room, and you haven't used Core's yet. All right, I haven't. This was me. This is what I had to do. I created my account, used my email. I got sent a link, I verified it, I clicked it. I immediately went in. There's a big big link there, associate FRN. When I click associate FRN, I select associate outdated legacy FRN. I had forgotten my FRN password. Anybody else? I had forgotten my FRN password. It was galactically simple. Yes, at a galactic level, galactically simple to reset my FRN. So I had to reset my FRN password. That wasn't too hard to do. And then once I did that, once I linked it, now I immediately went to the license manager. That's the URL for the license manager. And in the PDF file, that's an active link, by the way, to start my renewal. If you, again, I forgot my password. It was so easy. I clicked it. I put in my username that I used for my FRN. There was a security question that I already had from the old system, if you remember the old system. So unless your high school mascot changed, then I literally went in and clicked the reset link. It was nothing to it. It was a non-event. What if you have registered your FRN after the 2022 update? It's easy. You go right to the ULS license manager, you use your 10-digit FRN. Of course, there's no association needed. Because after that update, they automatically associated your accounts. Okay, this is where the meat and potatoes is. This, even though I have an insane amount of slides, this will not take long. Again, this process, what I did is I clicked, I entered data, and I subtracted the time. I had the timestamps for when I took each of these screenshots. And I subtracted that time out. And by the time I was done, this took me 7 minutes and 33 seconds, not counting associating my FRN because I did that earlier. So if you slide that in, probably about maybe add a minute and a half to that. And oh, by the way, I got to mention this. I was shocked at the speed that emails come. When I say reset your password, you'll get an email.
Instant.
You don't like go make a coffee, have a few kids, do your taxes, build a barn. No. When I clicked that, like by the time I clicked it, it showed up. I mean, it was almost instant. I know, surprised me too. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna walk you through every one of these 4 steps. Actually, the 4th step, you don't even do. You really only do these 3. Log into Coors, make sure you're associated, log into the ULS license manager, again, using your FRN number and your Coors password for your license manager. Return back to Coors, and it actually takes you to FRN financials, and you'll see that on the screenshot to make your Visa payment or however you choose to pay. So let's get started. I know this is really hard to read. This is the login screen. I have the URL throughout the presentation. This is where we log into the commission registration system. Right down here, I put in my email data. And these little red squares, you won't see those. I use a password manager. Put in your username, you click log in. Once you log in, it'll take you here. Again, hey, great, I get request a security code. Click on send code. You will get an email really fast. Your security code, 532-078. Okay. Go back here, you put in your security code, and it takes you to here. What I want to do is make sure my now this is your view. They call it the user home of Coors. And all the things you can do, associate username to FRN, right at the top of the link. I'd already done that. Manage existing FRNs. Once you associate it, you just go in and say, I want to manage this FRN. Because that FRN is tied into ULS to my license. So what you're actually doing is going in to manage an existing FRN. And oh, by the way, when you come back here later in the presentation, we're going to click here where it says bills and fees. So you click manage existing FRNs. So now here we are. Manage existing FRNs. What is it you want to do with your FRN, Bob? Well, you know, I'm looking at this. And when you look at this, I want to manage FRNs. This is FRN financial, regulatory fee manager, batch filers. I'm not doing that. Here you click on manage FRNs again. My one and only FRN shows up. The date it was created, pretty current, eh? So this FRN, all right, once it's created, you have the ability now, once you have it, I'm going to say I want to update my FRN. This is where, if there's, I used to live in a large state northwest of here. And I did not realize it, but up until the end of March,
Still had you.
my FRN had my Homer, Alaska information in it. And I thought, yeah, probably a good idea to update that. So I went ahead and I updated my address and my state. Even my phone was different because I got a new cell number when I moved down here. So I updated my information on my FRN. We could go to, we're back in to this is how you access the ULS. I have the link to this at the bottom too. When you click the link to access the ULS, and you can actually Google FCC ULS login, it will take you to this screen of licensing and databases. And when looking at licensing and databases, here we see all the different types of, I have no idea what pirate is, but you'll see all the different types. But you'll notice here is ULS. There's multiple ways to get to the ULS. The screen you'll see, it's a little confusing because you're actually renewing, right? But there's not a link that actually says renew. When you go into the ULS, you're going to see filing, file online. Here it says apply for a new license renew. So you actually need to click up here where it says file online. That is where you click if you want to renew your license. All right, here we are. Now we're getting real. There's my license. AK4BR at a glance.
This license.
If you see a message that it's ineligible for renewal, you are not within that 90-day window. If you don't have 90 days until it expires, it will say ineligible. Because the FCC will not allow you to renew your license unless you're within that 90-day window. In my case, I was within the window. So it has my address information here, my phone, my email address, tells you when I became when I got this license, I became AK4BR June 28th of 2016. Because I didn't keep my old Alaska call sign, because I didn't want people to think they were talking to Alaska when they heard Kilo Lima 4 Charlie Oscar. So when you see this, there's a link here. It's hard to read, I know, but you'll see it when you get home and you look at the PDF. That link actually says begin the renewal process. So you click that link to begin the renewal process. Select the updates. You have chosen to renew this existing license, AK4BR. Click continue. Oh, and by the way, you'll notice there's a walkthrough here. Steps. Select updates. Select updates. Applicant questions. Is the applicant exempt from application fees? No, I gotta pay it. Is the applicant exempt from regulatory? No. Now, the next question.
That's a good.
The next question is reviewing your license information. This is where you confirm all of your information. So, you're putting in attention to is blank. and it's not required. So don't feel inattention to, just let her go. Take the default, your name's already up here, Robert of Romanko for me, and then the information is there. So that's the licensee information, you're confirming that. Whoops, let me back up one here. Okay, now this is a very important question for many of you in the room. And words matter. And in this case, the word is convicted. Have you been convicted of a felony? I said no. Now you got the summary page. All right, here's what your fee's gonna be. I got a vanity license. I've selected, what am I doing? I've selected to renew it. The summary of the information is here. Continue to certify. Certify is basically giving it an electronic signature. When you certify it, you'll get all this sort of terms and conditions, right? Put in your name here, Robert M. Romanko. Title. For title, this is a case where, let's say you are renewing a club license. All right,
So trust.
you would put in trustee there. Otherwise, step away from the box. Don't put anything in. All right, and then you click submit application there at the bottom. And notice we're at the bottom here. Other steps, select updates, applicant questions, sort of, so we're on certification and we signed it. And when that's all done, you'll get a confirmation screen within the ULS. With a file number, which is basically a record of the transaction you just submitted. At this point, you're not printing your license. You're printing what you just completed. So if you want a copy of all the answers you just gave and all the fields you completed, you can click print application right there. And this is where it tells you how much you need to pay the man. So here we're gonna click. Here we're gonna go ahead and click continue to court. Now this is the part where it gets a little fuzzy to me. I'm not crazy about this handoff because here's what you're doing. If you graphically, all right, here is ULS. This is where I just updated. I just applied for my renewal in ULS, right? Over here is FRN Financials. That's what actually pays it. So it's kind of a misnomer to say that you pay it in cores, because really what you do, you don't go from ULS and just walk down the hallway and knock on the door of FRN Financials. You're at ULS and you are actually continuing the cores. So it will take you up to cores, which will then take you back down to FRN Financials. This is why this process seems confusing to people. Okay, you've got to kind of keep these systems in your head. So continue to course for the payment. All righty, where am I? Hey, I've seen this screen before. Put in your email account,
The same path.
put in your course password, the same one you just used in ULS. Because ULS uses your course password. Has it sunk in that you should only have one password and it should be course? And once you associate your FRN with your course account, it's actually pretty simple. So I put in my email and my password and I click login. So here, it's not implicit, but it's you have to be able to understand what it is you're doing. I know I have a bill now. So intuitively, this says if you have an application fee, click here, and I clicked on bills and fees. Because I knew I had a fee and a bill that I had to resolve with our friendly FCC folks. So now, interesting. What is this link called? I know you might not be able to read it. Pay application fees, FRN Financial. So really, you're not in cores. You're going to FRN Financial. All right. And what do you know? I'm in FRN Financial. I'm managing FRNs. I'm in FRN Financial. There I am. Red light status, green light. That means Everything's okay? You make payments. This automatically comes up, awaiting payment completion. But my FRN, the remittance ID, I owe $35 on 2 days ago. So I paid this on April 12th. And you're gonna see in a little bit, a little surprise. Not paid, make payment. And when you make your payment, it's just normal credit card stuff. Yeah. $35, select a payer. I chose to pay with my Visa because I get double points. And you put in all the usual stuff, your name up above, your cardholder name, blah, 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 blah. Whatever your expiration date is, your card number, yada, yada, security code, click continue. I authorize you to check that box. $35 for the minute. Click continue. Online payment initiated. If you want to print out a receipt, click print. All right, so the payment has been initiated. Okay. And that's it. I got this in an email today. Today is the 14th.
Oh, it took 2 days.
I submitted my application on, what was that, the 11th? On a weekend. And it says, congratulations, Bob. Your license is renewed. When you click that link, the authorization link, you will see what you think is a black browser screen of death. Because if you're patient, it's eventually going to be a really cryptic file name that you download.
It was cryptic.
It is galactically cryptic. And when you open that file up, it's your license.
Now, Bob, sort of decrypting this process a little bit. How different is this from logging into a shopping site, putting a single item, i.e. your renewal, into your cart,
Right.
telling it that you would like to submit your cart,
Yeah.
having it take you to a separate page where you put in the,
Right. Yeah, the question is, how is this different from our shopping site? In many ways. You have to understand the scope and the breadth and the size of the FCC. And you have to have, so we look through it through the lens of, it's just little old me. I got a piece of paper, I need a new date on it. We look at it through that lens, and we don't look through it as all the other things, regulatory, compliance, permitting, I mean, all of the things that is involved in the complexity of running the FCC and what they are responsible for in North America, in the United States. It's a very diverse amount of technology they need to support their mission. You have to almost look at it like a cost benefit analysis. How many ham radio operators are there in America? Does it make sense with all the other resources they have to divert to supporting all their other technology? Does it make sense for the FCC to build a user, like an Amazon site for renewing your FCC license?
It's not costing.
It boils down to dollars and cents. That it's all in the lens that you look through it. What lens do you look through this system? If you look through it as a lens of, from a system architecture standpoint, yeah, it's a little clunky. They made it better. I think it's better than what it has been in the past. Can they do some things with the user interface, maybe, et cetera? Perhaps. But the point is, if you look at you couldn't see it during my presentation, but if you look at what all the other screens, all the information that was on some of those screens, it was extremely diverse. This link is going to be active in the PDF. When you get the PDF file and download it, when you click that link, this is the FCC official renewal instructions that are step by step how to redo your license. The ARRL also has a renewal guide. It's a real nice PDF. Again, another advantage of being a member of the ARRL. There's another place you can go called the Wireless Licensing Help Center that can be helpful. And it really focuses more on the ULS. They have a really good number you could call if your account's locked out or you got technical issues. If you have something that you really know should be working, for example, you know you are putting in the right password. I mean, you're letter for letter comparing it.
Access denied.
And you get like an access denied kind of thing. I can tell you from experience, almost, 99.99999% of the time, it's gonna be a cache or a browser issue. Somewhere it's you're entering this and clicking this, and you're sending something out of cache, out of memory to the server. So it's always, I'll tell you what I recommend a lot of times is go in either private browsing or incognito, where you're not even using cache or cookie. I'm just going in incognito. So that is the some of the support resource. And again, when you get the PDF, all these links are going to be active for you. Thank you, everybody. I hope this helped.
Thank you.